And what is going on, my Houston Texans family? Hope you all are enjoying the victory of the Houston Texans in back to back weeks. They shocked the NFL world. They beat the Buffalo Bills on Thursday Night Football and follow it up with defeating the Indianapolis Colts in Indy in the Stroud House. 20-16 is the final score. We are going to discuss this. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. But before we get into this victory, this episode is brought to you and powered by Sleeper. The NFL season is here, which means you now have a chance to 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football. Football has never been more exciting than it is now with players like CJ Stroud, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Jefferson. Pick on stats for these stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to a 1,000 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right, and you could win big. Use promo code 713HOU and you get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Sleeper is also giving you a free $20 entry, no deposit needed. Just type in 713HOU. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a little bit lit. I'm a little bit tipsy. The Houston Texans today, they defeated the Indianapolis Colts. They win their first game of the year against Indy, the second matchup, week 18. There might be a lot riding on that game, but let's enjoy this one. The Houston Texans, after starting 3-0 with Davis Mills, CJ Stroud coming back, and let's talk about his performance today. 22 of 35, 276 yards, didn't throw a touchdown. He threw an interception, was sacked twice, a quarterback rating of 75.4. Guys, let me know your grade on CJ Stroud in the comments down below. I'll give it a C plus. It wasn't pretty. There was moments of rust. You look at that interception after the Houston Texans gave you a huge break. CJ Stroud gives it right back to Indianapolis, and you're like, I mean, you guys saw me on the stream. What are you doing, CJ? What are you doing? Then the second half started. Then we saw CJ Stroud become the quarterback that we know, getting the ball out quick, playing clean football, and being the playmaker. If I can grade CJ Stroud, like I said, I'm going to stay at the C plus. The first half was really ugly, but the second half is what gets you excited. The second half is what makes you think, yeah, CJ Stroud really is a franchise quarterback because he was automatic in the second half. 276 yards, 12.5 yards average a throw. CJ Stroud in the second half, ladies and gentlemen, looked good. Was finding Nico Collins, was finding Jaden Higgins, was finding Dalton Schultz. If we're going to grade Davis Mills on a curve the last 3 weeks, maybe we have to grade CJ Stroud in his first game back after a month of football. Like I said, it wasn't all pretty, but in quarters 3 and 4, CJ Stroud was money. There's no other way to put it. The offensive line, he was sacked 2 times. The offensive line, I think they did good in terms of pass protection and running the football. But in terms of operation, I mean, we had 5 penalties in the first 2 drives, 2 illegal formations, 2 holding calls. What are we doing here after a damn near perfect game against the Buffalo Bills? It felt like the offensive line, you know, it felt like it took a step back, but then they also had their moments where in the second half, CJ Stroud was getting time to operate the football. These running backs were getting opportunities to find lanes and take advantage of them. Woody Marks, 19 carries, 64 yards, 1 touchdown. His longest was 16, 3.4 yards a carry. Nick Chubb, 9 attempts, 34 yards, 1 touchdown, 3.8 yards a carry. The Nico Collins run into the end zone, 7 yards. I think that the offense looked decent in the second half. The first half, I mean, it was abysmal. So when I come in on Tuesday and I tell you my confidence in this offense, last week I gave you a 5. I'll go a 5.5 on Tuesday, just to let you know. But nonetheless, when the Houston Texans had to get in the end zone, they did. I think there was moments of brilliance from offensive coordinator Nick Caley, and there was moments of absolute stupidity from him. I mean, you look at the second half. I'm sorry. You look at what led into the second half, where the Houston Texans were moving the football. Timeouts not being utilized correctly. Not having a sense of urgency, instead of kicking a 61-yard field goal that Kaimi Fairbairn has made before. You decide to throw a Hail Mary that didn't even reach the end zone. There is still a problem in terms of coaching on this offense, ladies and gentlemen. Nick Caley, even though we are on a 4-game win streak, he has his problems. And like Dr. Barrett says, shout out to Dr. Barrett, leader of the group chat, you don't ignore in victory what you won't ignore in defeat. And Nick Caley, guys, he's still a problem on this Houston Texan offense. Just hindering these guys back. However, I do think the offensive line, they held up well against the Indianapolis Colts defense, against their pass rush. Like I said, CJ Stroud only sacked 2 times. You can't complain about that. And as the game went on, they were creating lanes for their RBs. They were having moments where CJ Stroud looked comfortable. I am intrigued to see how this offensive line goes forward. Um, Receiving, Nico Collins, 5 receptions, 98 yards, 19.6 yards a catch, 29 yards. So Nico Collins continues to, he continues his tear against the Indianapolis Colts. What T.Y. Hilton was against us is what Nico Collins is against the Indianapolis Colts. Just continues to have good days against them. 98 yards receiving, and he also had a rushing touchdown. Jaden Higgins, your rookie, he caught all 5 of his targets, 65 yards. His longest was 19. Jaden Higgins, ladies and gentlemen, is slowly becoming a legit number 2 wide receiver in this league. And, he continues to just grow confidence as the season goes on. Dalton Schultz led the team in receptions, 7 receptions, 55 yards. Dalton Schultz just continues to be one of the most consistent pieces on offense for the Houston Texans. Xavier Hutchinson, 2 catches, 39 yards. His longest was 24. I believe that 24-yarder came early in the first quarter where he looked like he bobbled it. Kate Stover, 2 catches, 16 yards. Woody Marks, 1 catch for 3 yards. You want to see Woody Marks with more targets, guys, as well as the guy on the bottom, Jalen O. Only 1 target, 0 receptions. With that being said, I think the offense, like the last 3 weeks, they did just enough to get you a win over this Indianapolis Colts team. What got you this W was the Houston Texans defense. Daniel Jones, 14 of 27, 201 yards. So we talked about that streak of quarterbacks not throwing more than 200 yards against this defense. Well, Daniel Jones just gave you 1 yard more, 2 touchdowns, no interception. He was only sacked 1 time, a quarterback rating of 101. So in terms of the numbers, Daniel Jones looked good. But when you really look at the game, Daniel Jones was a statue. Daniel Jones could not come in when the Indianapolis Colts needed to. This is now, I believe, 3 losses in the last 4 games for the Indianapolis Colts. And in those 4 games, Daniel Jones just has not looked good. Now, I will give him their credit. They did take advantage of the Houston Texans defense on 3rd and long multiple times in that 1-yard drive. Other than that, though, this Houston Texans defense was putting pressure on the quarterback. We talked about limiting Jonathan Taylor entering this week. 21 rushes, 85 yards. His longest was 12. The Houston Texans, they shut down Jonathan Taylor. There's no other way to put it. The Houston Texans defense, they shut down Indianapolis offense, the highest scoring offense in the NFL. Alex Pierce, 4 receptions, 78 yards, a touchdown. Josh Downs, 2 catches, 44 yards. Jonathan Taylor, 3 catches, 36 yards. Tyler Warren dealing with the stomach bug, 3 catches for 1 touchdown, 22 yards. Other than that, it was just non-existent. Michael Pittman, 1 reception for 13 yards. He was guarded by Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley continues to have, I think, another all-pro year. The Houston Texans walk into Indianapolis in the Stroud House and walk out with the W. 20-16 is the final score. And I'm going to say this Houston Texans team should be feared. It really doesn't matter what this offense does. It will be whether or not you can move the football effectively against this Houston Texans defense. Will Anderson Jr., Daniil Hunter didn't record a sack, but their presence was felt. Kalen Bullock, his presence was felt. EJ Speed, shout out to him getting the W against his former team. Ladies and gentlemen, the Houston Texans in back-to-back weeks, they shocked the NFL world. They beat the they beat the Buffalo Bills on Thursday Night Football, sacked the MVP 8 times, and then follow that up with absolutely shutting down the number one offense in the NFL. The Indianapolis Colts they scored more than 20 every single game this season, except for when they played this Houston Texans defense. DeMeco Ryans he should be in conversation for head coach of the year. I know Mike Vrabel is probably going to run away with that award, but after starting 0-3 to be where you are now, 7-5, the Houston Texans team, and it feels like their season is just getting started, and that's what's scary going forward. With that being said, guys, the vibes are at an all-time high. This Houston Texans team, they are on a 4-game winning streak. This defense is the best in the NFL, and your quarterback is slowly getting started. With that being said, guys, for more Houston Texans content, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. How did you feel about the victory? I love you guys. Episode brought to you and powered by Sleeper. Get 100% match up to $100. Use promo code 713HOU. I love you guys. Have a very blessed day.